Yo, what up YouTube, what up MMA fans? Post-fight to George St. Pierre, this reigning welterweight champion versus Johny Hendricks. And to give you guys my personal opinion, I was scoring the fight, and I'll just break it down for you. Round 1, Johny Hendricks. He won that round, he got taken down early, but he won literally the next 4 minutes. Round 2, Johny Hendricks hurts GSP badly with a volley of punches, including a left hook, that had GSP reeling backwards and hurt badly. Reminiscent of how he got hurt against against Matt Serra. And George St. Pierre basically, really took heavy shots and showed a great chin. He showed he could handle the power of Johny Hendricks, and that basically was a huge factor in the fight in terms of George St. Pierre's chin, because he could have got knocked out in the second round. He could have got knocked out cold, and he didn't. However, it's a Johny Hendricks round, and based on how badly GSP's hurt, it was competitive enough to where, yeah, it's 10-9 Johny Hendricks. Sorry. Third round. Okay. Closer round. It was a closer round. Uh, you know, George St. Pierre landed. I think he had an edge in terms of strikes landed. However, in terms of the more clear and concise strikes, maybe the strikes that did the most damage, and Johny Hendricks was conserving his energy to a degree. However, in terms of the man controlling the action, I think the third round was pretty evenly matched. It could have gone either way. Could have gone either way. That's how I saw that round. Fourth round, clearly Johny Hendricks won that round. No debate. Johny Hendricks won the fourth round. No debate. No debate. So you could have it 4-0 at this point for Johny Hendricks, or you could have it 3-1. Right? So at this point in time in the fight, Johny Hendricks has cemented the fight and should have won it on the cards. However, in the fifth round, it was close enough to where you could give it to GSP. Um, and based on GSP barely winning 2 rounds, he gets awarded a split decision victory by these criminal fucking judges. It exists in boxing and it exists in the UFC. A robbery. I'm calling for it right now. This was a flat out highway robbery of Johny Hendricks, who should be crowned the new welterweight champion. I'm happy I forgot about this fight and did not bet any money, because I would have been betting on Johny Hendricks to win. And and most likely by knockout. GSP did show a hell of a chin. He showed he could take much of the damage Johny Hendricks dished out, but one big area I was surprised about is Johny Hendricks simply put out wrestled. He out wrestled George St. Pierre. He completely dominated him in the wrestling department. Can you believe that? One of the most dominant wrestlers in UFC history, GSP, got out wrestled by Johny Hendricks. Not outstruck, but in terms of the most damaging punches that landed, it was by Johny Hendricks. No debate. You could see who got busted up in there. Who got the most takedowns? Johny Hendricks. Who looked worse for wear? Who took the least amount of damage? It was Johny Hendricks. How did he lose this fight? Bad judging. That's how he lost the fight. It happens in boxing. And it just happened in the UFC. This is a terrible decision by the judges. And now George St. Pierre announces his retirement. And it seemed like he felt sorry for Johny Hendricks because he thought he won the fight. But instead, he announces that he has to step away from the sport, and that's what it is. Literally, Johny Hendricks retires George St. Pierre tonight. It was a heck of a fight. I thought the judges got it wrong. Let me know what you guys think. To me, this was highway robbery. It is what it is. Peace out. Take care.